Hello, this is Evan Rogers with evanseasyjapanese.com. We're coming at you with lesson 14, and in this lesson we are learning verb stems, verb groups, the word but and how to use it, and just a few other adjectives and other things like that. Alright, before we begin, I just want to point out that hopefully you've heard that I was sick. I posted it on the website. I've been sick, that's why a lot of videos haven't been going up. Sorry about that. I get sick sometimes. In addition to that, you might have noticed that I have an exciting pirate lesson on in the history section. Pirates are cool, and there's a history of Japanese pirating. Maybe you'd like to learn about Japanese pirates. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of information that's, from a reputable source. Unfortunately, just Wikipedia. All those professors out there are cringing right now. I just wrote an email to a professor who's studying this, but no word back yet. Also, you might notice that I'm making example videos for every single one of the lessons so that you can have, as you practice, you can have basically me going along the lesson with you. Hopefully that'll help you out a lot. Hearing how to pronounce it, and having me explain the grammar and breaking down each sentence as we go. You might have noticed that we're finally up to 15 grammar lessons. I haven't recorded all 15 videos yet, well, all 30 videos, but we're getting there. And I'm really proud of the new logo that I made for the website and all the videos. It's kind of cheesy. If you don't know, it's the imperial flag from back in the day when Japan was an imperial nation going around attacking people around World War II and earlier. I just chose the dot in the middle to be a lowercase e because Evan's easy Japanese. Alright, totally lame. Here we go. Let's go ahead and begin. This is lesson 14. Grammar, explanations, and vocabulary. Here's the vocabulary we got up. Let me step over on this side. First off, we have the word demo, which means but, as in not the thing on your tukis, but as in but something else. I said something, but something else also exists. The particle ne. The ne particle is when it comes at the end of a sentence. It's a sentence-ending particle, and it identifies the speaker is searching for agreement or is expecting agreement. It can be used in more than one way. For example, you want to say, it's kind of like the Canadian A. For example, you'll say, oh man, I got a new toaster, eh? You're looking for agreement or something along that lines, or the cat over there is black, eh? Kind of a dumb sentence, but whatever. You're looking for agreement. Yo is when you're asserting a fact. So I just used the sentence, the cat is black, and eh? Right? Don't you agree? If we change that to a yo, it would be sort of like you're stating the fact and you're asserting that it's true to some extent. The cat is black, or hey, the cat's black, or the cat is black. Something along those lines where you're asserting a fact or an opinion. Here are the two new nouns. I don't have all the vocabulary up here in case you're freaking out. Jose is a woman, a lady, a little bit of a polite term. Danse, a man, a gentleman of some sort, a little bit of a polite term. And here we have the adverb zen, which is only used with negative things, adjectives and verbs, as you should be aware by now that even adjectives can be negative in Japanese. Here are a bunch of verbs. Tatakaimasu, fight. As in a battle, not to fight with your sister unless you fight with your sister with like broadswords and the sort. Next we have taoshimasu, defeat, to defeat your enemy. That would get an O, like you defeat a dragon O, taoshimashita. Tsukurimasu is to make something. For example, you could make a cheese sandwich, you could make a video, or you could make a website, make. Benkyou shimasu, that's a long O sound, and it means to study, the verb of study. Without the shimasu, it does mean study, like the noun study. And renshu shimasu, to practice something, to study Japanese, to practice Japanese, etc. The power of editing. Alright, and now we have the adjectives on the board. Here we have itai, which is actually an E adjective. It means ow! Or when something hurts. Shoulder ga itai desu, my shoulder hurts. Or when you punch somebody in the face, they might say itai. Nagai, my horrible handwriting, nagai, means long. Something is long time or a long, spatial or temporal. It can be a long pencil or it can be a long time. Next we have mijikai, same thing, short, long, short distance or a short time frame. And next we have kurai, dark. I believe we've already taught akarui for light, and that's why I'm introducing kurai now, because I realized I didn't introduce it yet. Kurai, dark. And those are the new E adjectives. You know how to conjugate these? Itakunai, itakunakata, nagakunai desu, mijikakatta, kurakunakata, and etc., etc. Alright, now let's go on to the grammar points. Editing! Editing! Alright, I now have the first grammar point that's important. We're learning verb stems. What's a verb stem? Why does it matter? In English, we don't have things like verb stems necessarily. We do, but we don't. Verb stems are kind of like every conjugation in this, it can be based off of a verb stem. And thus, it's important to teach you this. It's very important to teach you also because it identifies what group of the verb belongs to, which is going to be the next verb point, or the next grammar point. Here we go. Making the verb stem. All you gotta do is drop mas, and you're done. It's that easy. Just drop the mas, and you're in money's town with knowing how to do the verb stem. So, for example, with the verb shimasu, or if it's in the shimasen or the masen mashita form of the verb, you take off the mashita, you take off the masen. It's basically what comes before the mas, the ma, basically. All right, here we have shimasu. Drop the mas. Kaboom! Shi, that's the verb stem. Money. Next we got tabemasu. Kill the mas. Tabe, that's the verb stem. Next, ikimasu. Do you know what to do yet? Drop the mas. Exciting. Whee! Iki, that's the verb stem of ikimasu. Nomimasu, to drink. Drop the verb stem. Or to make the verb stem, we drop the mas. To make nomi. Renshu shimasu. Once again, renshu is practice, and this shimasu is secretly just this shimasu right here. Do. Do practice. Kill the mas. Renshu shi, or just shi. Tatakaimasu. To fight. Drop the mas. Tatakai. That's how you make the verb stem. It seems basic, seems easy, seems almost dull. Very, very, very important. Verb stem. Very important. Get that in your brain if you want to learn Japanese. Editing! Editing! Alright, we're back, and we're going to teach you about verb groups today. And by we, I mean me. I'm alone. Spooky. Alright, verb groups. These are important for future conjugations of verbs. Not conjurations. Conjugations. This means to change the form of the verb. Eat, ate. Eaten, was eating, had been eating, will have been eating, etc. Those are all called verb conjugations. Most textbooks are going to teach you group 1 first. It's not a big deal, but I prefer teaching group 3 first because they're the weirdos. First step is get the verb in the stem form. We just told you how to do that. Next step, group 3. Memorize these 3 stupid verbs, and they're the only irregular ones in pretty much all of Japanese. Shimasu, that's a group 3. It's weird. For future conjugations, shimasu is weird. Kimasu, when it means to come, as in coming. There's another kimasu, which is to wear clothing, like this snappy red shirt. Another one, desu. There's another weird one. In fact, I believe you've already encountered it being weird, because I had to take a special lesson to teach you how to make des negative. De wa arimasen and things like that. These 3 are the weirdos. We should all bully them. Bullying isn't cool. Alright, group 2. These ones are a little bit easy to recognize. That's why I teach them second. The stems almost always end in e. And not e, the character. E, the sound. Tabemasu. Tsuremasu. Trying to think of a bunch of them off the top of my head. And lots of other ones that also exist. Things that end in the e sound. Ke, se, be, me, things like that. Those are all going to be in the group 2 category. Or if the stem is only one character long, as in, for example, the verb mimas, to see, if you drop the mas, you have left over mi, that's a group 2 verb. Because the stem is only one character. But Evan, what about shimas and kimas? They're the weird ones, remember? Make fun of them. Don't make fun of them, they're nice, they have inner beauty. And the ones that aren't these two, that only have one character, are group 2 verbs. Also, there's a few other screwballs. For example, the verb okimas, to wake up. Okimas is a group 2 verb, and there are going to be many others. Check the dictionary under resources. It should be like over there somewhere. Or maybe it's going to be flipped, maybe it's over there. Under resources, you're going to find a dictionary by the vocabulary words are done by type, so go to the verbs section, and they're all going to be organized, not into groups, but by spelling, but each verb will tell you which group it belongs to, just in case you're not sure on a weird one. Group 1 verbs are actually, I think these should be group 3 because they're the leftovers. Anything that isn't group 3, and anything that doesn't qualify as group 2, bleh, they're the leftovers. They're all group 1. They basically end in the E sound. Ikimas, nomimas. Kimas, the other one that isn't this kimas. Yomimas. Sagashimas. Mitskarimas. Not thinking. They end in the E sounds. Ikimas, yomimas, asobimas. The reason why they're group 1 is because they're the biggest group. The whole majority of verbs fall under that category. And then group 2 has the second largest number, and then group 3 has the third largest number. But from a grammar standpoint, it makes more sense to teach 3, 2, and then 1. E sounds 1, E sounds 2. The group 3 verbs are the leftover weirdos. There's only 3 group 3s. Okay, and now we're talking about ne and yo. I also put ka on the board, and this is to emphasize that these come at the end of sentences, or, sentence fragments. So what's important to know about these ones is that, just like ka, I just said this, they come at the end. Ne, as asking for agreement. It's like the Canadian A. However, I wanted to point out that it's not always a question looking for agreement. Don't you agree? Things like that. It can be said like ne, like of course, like you agree to that, don't you? Sort of like, this is a sheet of paper, ne, like there's a sheet of paper, isn't it? And then you're going to go on to say some more information, usually. Right? This is a sheet of paper, right? This is a sheet of paper, don't you agree? This is a sheet of paper, isn't it? Notice how this isn't a question. It could be a question, but it doesn't have to be. This is a sheet of paper, isn't it? See how that's not really a question, it's more of a statement? I want to talk also about with the ne particle that this is kind of the reason why if you have ever heard Japanese people talking to one another, you hear them constantly saying, like somebody will be talking for a long time, and you'll see the other person going, hi, so desu ne, like listening and agreeing as they talk. A very large part of that is due to this ne particle, and also the culture. Also, it's mostly culture, but this ne particle has a part in it as well. The yo particle. This is end of sentence, and you are asserting a piece of information. That's a camera. That is a camera. That is a camera. You're stating a statement, and it's hopefully true, or you're asserting your opinion. It's a little bit of a emphasis, not quite. I'm afraid to use that, but it's kind of like you're emphasizing what you're saying. Zenzen. This is an adverb that I wanted to single this out because it's working only with negatives, and it means not even a little bit, sort of, not even a little bit. Zenzen dekimasen. I can't do that at all. Eigo shaberu no ga zenzen dekimasen. I can't speak English at all. Zenzen works with negatives. You want to say this sheet of paper is not at all red. Zenzen akaku nai desu. And things like that. It's similar to the word amari, which is used with negatives. Used with negatives. Alright, I'm going to get into the examples and the practice in a second video. It should be down there. On the page, that is. Anyway, this is Evan Rogers with Evan's Easy Japanese. Be sure to like me, subscribe to this YouTube thing, because apparently that helps me out with stuff. And enjoy the website. Have a great day.